Hello, everyone. Glad to see everyone on tonight. Welcome to another session of Back to Basics. My name is Dr. Vivian Asamoah, and if you are watching this, you are probably part of our Natural Gut Relief Facebook tribe. And thank you so much for joining us this evening. I host Back to Basics sessions every Thursday at 6:30, and we always make it a point to bring a very special guest, someone who really aligns with our philosophy in natural gut relief. We believe in advocating for our health and doing everything natural to help heal our bodies instead of using too many medications if we can avoid it. And we always start with food first. So today, just like our other Thursdays, I'm really excited to introduce you guys to Dr. Amanda Atkins. She's going to tell us a little bit more about herself, but she's one of us, guys. She really believes in using food as medicine. She practices what she preaches, which I absolutely love, and she'll share a little bit more about her experience. So welcome, and thank you so much, Dr. Amanda, for being on the Natural Gut Relief Live today. Tell us a bit about you.
Well, thank you first for having me here. I love to come and talk about, plant-based nutrition and my journey. So just my background, I am board certified in both internal medicine and lifestyle medicine. I am the owner and CEO of Enlightenment Health and Wealth, where we focus on helping women who are overweight get off medications that they are taking for high blood pressure and diabetes safely if they can. Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. And so you've been doing this for quite some time then. You have that expertise in internal medicine as well as the lifestyle. So you're all focused about prevention. How long have you been pushing prevention in your career, like in your practice of internal medicine?
So I am now in my 14th year, which is hard
Wow.
to believe, of internal medicine and actually learning more about nutrition and plant-based nutrition started back very early in my career. And I tell people one of my patients when I first started working, actually I was a practice in Tennessee, private practice, and one of my patients, an older gentleman, was talking to me about Dr. Joel Furman. He was like, "Oh, this is what I do. I follow his stuff. You should read about it, doc." And I was already a vegetarian at that time, so we would always talk about that. And he was like, "Oh yeah, look into this." And I was like, "Oh man, this is like what I've been searching for my whole life." Um, and we can talk about my journey from back in the day too, if you want. But once I started learning about that, and more people would come to me and like, Dr. Amanda, I'm so tired of being on all these medications. What else can I do? And initially that was a shock to me because when we went to medical school, we were told, yeah, they have to change their diet and do exercise, but then you prescribe this medication. And this was what we're going to focus on. So you know how to prescribe these medicines for these certain things. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. What do you do else besides medication?
Right.
And so I would, just try to educate myself. And I would go to, I went to a nutrition conference very early in my career. And one of the doctors there said, you cannot out exercise a bad diet. And I was like, that just stuck with me also. So from hearing about Dr. Joel Furman, not being able to out exercise a bad diet, and then being on my own health journey, I was like, this is all that I love. And lifestyle medicine is a relatively new specialty. It didn't come about till after I was done with residency and actually
Mm.
practicing.
Hmm.
So it's still one of the earlier specialties, but I'm definitely glad to be a part of it because I love everything lifestyle medicine.
Oh, that is awesome. So a patient actually converted you. Medicine didn't convert you. It was a patient who said, "Hey, you got to go read about Joe Furman." And
Yes.
wow.
Cause I didn't know anything. I was like I said, a vegetarian at the time. And I tell people
Mm-hmm.
a junk food vegetarian. I just was
Mm-hmm.
like trying to
Mm.
like lose weight and prevent high blood pressure and diabetes and cancer that ran in my family.
Yeah.
And like I said, because we talked about that when he came in, we're just chatting. I was like, oh, you should, read about this. And so that was like the first plant-based book I ever bought. I still have it on my bookshelf over there. I love Dr.
Oh, that's
Foreman.
awesome. That's awesome. So let's go into practical tips that could really help people on this live today who may be considering either transitioning to a plant-based lifestyle or maybe vegetarian, right? How, and because you're coming from experience, not only do you preach it to the audience that you coach, but you also live it. You also practice it, which is really, really healthful when you're expressing it to someone else. So how do you recommend people transition smoothly from a regular sort of carnivore diet? In Texas, we eat meat like 4 times a week, 5 times a week, every day if we could, right? I don't. But when I first moved here, I was like, what? There's this beef every day? Like, how is that? How do you transition from that to someone who wants to take the first step into really going into a plant-based diet lifestyle?
Yes. So I love this question because people always like wonder, like, do I have to totally give up my meat? That's the first thing that they're worried about. Like you said, like Texas, the South, like I was in the South. I grew up in Indiana where there was a meat delivery truck driver. So we had all that. So the first thing I tell them, you want to add in fruits and vegetables to every single meal. And you want to do that breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because most of the time we think of the vegetables and fruit as a thing, a past thought, something on the side that we don't really put much into, and therefore we think they don't taste well because they're just kind of thrown on the plate. We really focus on making, like you said, the steak tastes good, the salmon tastes good, but we don't really put that much emphasis into the fruits and vegetables.
That's true.
And I think that's why a lot of people think that they taste bad, they had no taste, they're bland, we don't want to eat those. But you really have to, you can put those herbs and spices on there. So if you add fruits and vegetables to every single meal, you're, well ahead of the curve at that point in time. And then we talk about, subtracting, like decreasing the amount of meat that you're having, like I said, less in a day, like the meatless Mondays that are becoming more popular, or making the meat the side dish, or adding in more freshwater fish instead of beef and pork. Those will be important things that people can do. But when people notice that they don't have to just remove the meat totally, because that's my story, I was like, your story doesn't have to be my story. My story doesn't have to be your story.
Yeah.
So they're more open to that at that point in time. They're like, okay, I hear what you're saying, I can do that. And so it becomes more doable for them, and they feel like they'll be successful more long term.
Awesome. So let's even get more granular, Dr. Amanda, because I like to just go 101 Barney style when I'm talking to patients, just to make it clear so that there's no confusion, right? Okay, I'm going plant-based. I'm going to go ahead and add more fruits and more vegetables, like at least 1 or 2 servings at every meal, right? That's my first goal, right? I could eventually decide to do meatless Mondays. That would be my start. In terms of the selection of fruits and the selection of vegetables, what would you recommend that would be optimal for gut health? Since we're natural gut relief, what would you say are these are the top 5 fruits? If you could pick any 5 fruits, what ones you do? And then any 5 veggies, which ones would you start with?
So I start with vegetables, things, because I love leafy greens. Leafy greens are a powerhouse for everything. And then you would do like the carnivorous vegetables. So first you'll do like, your the greens, the kale, the spinach.
I hate kale. Give me something else. I can't stand kale.
What?
I don't like it.
You tried it.
I like spinach.
Ways.
I've tried it. Yes, I like spinach. I like collard. What else? Collard green. I have tried kale. Don't get me to do kale. I ain't doing no kale. I don't like it. I don't like the taste.
My heart is like,
maybe you have to make kale for me to eat. Maybe your kale is gonna be good. But everywhere I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, I think after a while I'm built a little different after eating these certain foods, because my sister always said, oh my gosh, you're hardcore. You can eat all these foods, raw and bland, and I was like, I think my taste buds are different.
Yeah.
And also I'm like, but I know what the other side looks like. So if it doesn't taste good the first time, I'm going to keep eating it because I know it has some good
benefits
somewhere, right? And eventually I'll start to like it.
Yeah.
So that's where I am with that. Brussels sprouts are another good one. Brussels sprouts was one I hated growing up. And that was one that I really looked at later. I'm like, okay, now I understand why people say they hate vegetables and then think that it can't change, because I remember going and trying to eat Brussels sprouts. Like I said, I became vegetarian young, and trying to find food to eat that didn't have meat in there. The Brussels sprouts at this restaurant we went to was horrible, right? I mean, I was just like, oh my God, who can eat Brussels sprouts? Like, what is going on? But now I've learned different, spices and things like that to put on there. And again, what I like, you may not like. And so it's hard for me to say, but I just tell people to try it in different ways. And then if you tried it, 4 or 5 different times, different ways, then okay, go to the next thing. If you like another leafy green better than the other, that's perfectly fine. They still have it there. Okay. So you do want to do that. Let's see, broccoli. A lot of people love broccoli, and cauliflower. All those are very good. I would say eggplant is good. That's a different one that has kind of like a meaty taste to it. So people get that, and they love that as an alternative. Fruits. I'm like a berries person. They're very simple that you can do. All different types of berries. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries. All those different things. I just like the basics types of things. You can also do like apples, oranges, things like that. That would still be some good for some people. And there's all different colors there. All that fiber that's there that will help kind of build up. Another big thing in the plant-based world that I absolutely love are lentils. So lentils, legumes that you have, and you can do lentils in so many different ways. It's definitely a good meat substitute. So for those meatless Mondays, you can do those. I've been on a kick recently with lentil tacos. I know my husband is like, "Are you eating that again?" I was like,
wait. So let's slow down. How do you make those lentil tacos? How do you make them?
I actually got this recipe. I'm not a cook. I tell people that. So I go to different websites, different vegan websites, and get recipes, and I get those in my inbox. And so there's this lentil recipe that you can use that has like all different herbs and spices, basically like what you use a taco seasoning, but not high in sodium. Like you won't just use a taco seasoning that you get out of the store, but they actually have like the paprika, the pepper, the onion powder, all that kind of stuff. And you just get green or brown lentils, and you put it in a crock pot and add in a broth. And I can actually like look up the recipe, and like you guys can see.
Yeah, you can share that with us. Yeah.
And it is it's great because again, you throw it in the crock pot, it gets it all ready, and then you just store the lentils, and then you use whatever you use for tacos. So I like the corn tortillas better than flour usually for some people. With some people with the gut though, the corn may be a little bit hard for them. So you may have to be careful with that. But then I add in my leafy greens, my salsa. I love guacamole, and avocados are good also for guts. And then just eat it as a taco. Instead of having ground beef. Back in the day, I used to use that the fake meat, I call it, but now I use the lentils instead. I'm like, I get the power pack of the lentils instead, and it's just wonderful. So
that's my mouth is watering right now as you mentioned the salsa and the lentils, well seasoned.
So yes.
That's really great. It sounds like you have a couple of great. You've been able to be creative with the veggies and the fruits and incorporating them and cooking them so they make your mouth water, like you just made my mouth water. And I think YouTube and going on websites to look at how people are creatively making their vegetables delicious is super important. Are there any websites or blogs that you can recommend to the group if they want to start? Like, where's a good place to start since you're already very experienced with options?
So forksoverknives.com has a lot of great recipes. They have magazines. They're actually now in the grocery store, so you may be able to just pick that up if you like the actual magazine that you want. Another group of ladies that I love, and they do a lot of the spiritual side like myself, is called danielsplate.com, and they have a lot of great recipes there. So those are the two main ones that I would use. And sometimes I just Google like quick vegan crock pot recipes. Like that's what I'm probably going to do tonight. And like go to the grocery store and get those. But that's usually the easiest to do, and then the top ones will come up, and you can just like look at the reviews and see if that's something you would like. Look at the ingredients, and I usually try to get people to try some new ingredients for them, so that way they don't they don't feel like they have to eat the same things all the
Same.
time.
Yes, yes.
But I'm a person, I can eat the same thing every day, but my husband
And
he
you're
has to have something different.
something
So everybody's different. Yeah.
It's true. It's true. And seasonings are important. You talked about that, looking at the recipes and also getting high quality seasonings and spices, right?
Yes.
What if you were on an island and you only had veggies available and fruits, which is pretty much where you are right now. Anyway, so because you're a vegetarian, what are your top 4 seasonings, or give us 5, the top 5 where you're like, I cannot go without these top 5s because this is what's going to give taste and spice and to my foods. Top
This
5.
this is a question I never get asked, so I gotta really think.
Because I want to know what to get. I'm going to go to the store and buy these because I sometimes struggle with my kids are like, this tastes the same. So I'm like, I'm going to go and get it. What are your top 5?
So I'm trying to think what I have there. So this is called, I believe, 5 Chinese spice.
Okay.
And actually, like I said, I don't come up with these things on my own. And I put this in my on sweet potatoes. And in the air fryer. And
Okay.
my mom makes it a different way because she used to make it with lots of brown sugar and
Yes.
all that
The other
extra
way.
stuff in there. Yeah.
Yes.
And so now she was hooked because I was like, oh, you guys got to try this. So 5 Chinese spice.
Okay.
And
Is it
that's
sweet?
amazing.
Has it got some sweetness to it or
It
no?
does a little
A little bit. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then of course, like the basics would be like cumin. I didn't realize how much that would be. I use that a lot. What else do I have? Goya seasoning. It's like a blend of like onion powder, garlic powder, oregano, things like that. That has a different thing initially, like Italian seasoning. So something like that. That's what I use a lot. And then just like garlic and onion powder.
You said garlic and onion. So
Yeah.
I haven't heard you mention salt. Does the 5 spice have a little salt, or does the Goya have a little salt? What's your
So
take on salt, and what type of salt do you season with?
Goya may have a little bit of salt in there. I do use some salt, and it's just the regular salt, but trying to avoid that and use the other spices because I mean anybody can throw salt on some stuff and it tastes better to some people, and that's what you have. But I'm trying to move away from that, especially since I have family members with high blood pressure. What else can we do? So the garlic powder helps with that, and to blend a different thing. Another website, nutritionfacts.org, with Dr. Michael Greger. He actually has the way he puts together different spices as an alternative to salt. And I actually tried that before and I actually ran out. I just remember now because I blended together and put it in like a glass bottle and use that instead of salt. So that helps. But again, if you're used to just having salt taste, it's going to taste different. It's going to taste bland initially until your taste buds change, but that's actually a good alternative. So if you check out nutritionfacts.org, he actually has a blend, and it's like I said, the garlic powder, onion powder, like I believe like oregano and things like that you pull all together. So once you pull all those spices together, then that definitely helps. And I tell people, it's just like the meats that you do. There was one documentary that actually said people always think meat tastes good, but it's actually the plants, the herbs that they put on there that make it taste good.
Yes, that's true. It's true. It's possibly what the cow was eating too, right? Right? The grass. If they were eating the right type of grass and herbs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's really
that, like grass-fed beef. I love when people mention that. I'm like, so if the cow is eating grass,
yeah.
How much better though? But
How about you go straight to the source? Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. So let's go back to, I feel like we were in the kitchen. We went to the grocery store. We got all our spices. We got our vegetables. We got our fruits. And then we went online. We figured out what recipes we're going to use using the recommendations that you mentioned. And we're about to sit down for a meal. So at this meal, I want to know, as I'm enjoying my lentil taco, I want to know, you're a physician. You've been practicing internal medicine for 14 years. That's a long time. You've been through a phase where you've been prescribing, and now you're actually trying to de-prescribe using the lifestyle medicine approach and food first to get patients off. in the ideal patient, what are you looking for in that person who comes to you and says, Dr. Amanda, I'm ready. I want to transition to plant-based lifestyle and diet. What are some of the key things, key factors, key characteristics, or key elements that you're looking for in this person you're hoping to find to make sure that it's going to be a successful relationship? We are going to get where we need to go. It may take time, but what are some of the key things that you're looking for in that person?
So one is, why do they want to change? Is what I really want to know, because it's going to become a time where you're not going to feel like meal prepping. You're not going to feel like exercising. You're not going to feel like, eating that vegetable that may not taste the greatest at the first time. And I just want to go back to having my, burgers and fries, or my, chicken, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So usually I ask them, oh, what, sparked this for you? Now, whether it's a medical event that occurred, a lot of people that I talk to, it's more of, oh, I just had a grandbaby. I want to make sure I'm around for them. Or I've had, all these aches and pains. I just don't want that anymore. So it's more of that. And then kind of use that to actually recenter them when they feel like they're getting off track, or they're not being as successful as they would like. You just say, okay, come back to, what you originally said. Why did you want to change your lifestyle in the first place? What do you want to do? And to always make sure that they understand that they can give themselves grace. So if I've had somebody that comes in, I actually had, one patient not too long ago that's like, oh my gosh, I wanted to come to you because I heard you actually do plant-based nutrition and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, my eyes just kind of popped open, because usually most time people are like, so are you telling me I should become a vegetarian? So to have the other side of it, that people actually come and say that to me, I'm like, oh yeah. So, and then, we went off and talked about what she's done before, why she's doing it and all that kind of stuff. But it's really understanding the reason why they want to change, and seeing that their success is actually going to be inevitable if they actually keep going. So it may not be perfect. And then I tell them, it's never going to be perfect. You are always going to come back. And to always come back to your appointments, because some people are like, oh, I didn't want to come in because I didn't do everything I said I was going to do. And I'm
off.
like, I'm like, but that's the reason to come in. Like, so then we can talk about it again and get you, re-energized and refocused to what you were doing. And so I try to just encourage them, to let them know that I'm on their side also, that I'm not going to yell at them. I'm not going to lecture them. I don't know why people say that. Like, they come in like, oh, I'm ready for my lecture.
They feel. That's how they feel about doctors in general. So now you're a physician asking for behavior change. That's like huge, right?
Yes. I was like, I'm not here to lecture you. I'm here to see what you need, and then just kind of encourage you from here. And just to pull out the good things that you did do, that did happen. Because it's never where it's 100% negative. It's never 100% negative of what you've done. There's always something good that you did, and we try to focus on that and say, see, even with that, it could have been worse, because you said you went all the way off and your numbers just went up slightly, like 0.1. Like, hey, that's a win. If I see it didn't go back up to 10, so we just kind of look at it that way, and they're become more encouraged and starting to come more often, and following up, so they actually see that they're actually making a lot of progress.
Oh, that's really good. That's awesome. So understanding the why you want to do it, so that you're not always going to be motivated. Just like you're saying, there are going to be bad days. There's going to be parties and birthday, and so just holidays. So being able to just go back to it is super important. That is really awesome. So Dr. Amanda, this was great. A lot of really practical tips for people to start right away, because a lot of the science today is showing that plant-based nutrition is really what helps prevent a lot of chronic disease. And that's the direction we should be going in. Whether you have chronic disease now, whether it's in your family, whether you've even had a cancer, and I would say, especially if you've had chronic inflammation and a cancer, this is really almost like that wake-up call to say, what can I do? What do I have? What's in my power? What can I do to change? And one of the biggest things would be nutrition, right? Would be converting to a plant-based nutrition. So that's really important, and really important to have coaches like yourself who can help people, because it's not easy just to do it one day to Shoot, I tried to give up sugar 21 days. Well, I did give it up, but it was so hard. Sometimes I was like, is anybody watching? No,
Yes.
But at
I
the end of
know.
the day, you know why you're doing it.
Mhm.
But for those who may be interested in working with you as a coach to get them started and moving along this journey, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I tell people, look, always go to my website. So it's www.dramandamd.com. So like dramandamd.com. And you can actually book a free consult call with me there. And then I'm also on the social media. So Facebook, Instagram, and I have a YouTube channel, and it's all Dr. Amanda Atkins.
Awesome.
Adkins. I always tell
AD,
people,
yeah.
yes,
Atkins, everyone thinks it's AT. It's AD. D as in darling.
yes, yes.
Adkins. Awesome. This was wonderful. Such a pleasure having you on. I mean, I personally have learned a lot of tips that I'm going to start this weekend.
Wonderful.
Yes. And I think I have to get the whole family doing. They're going to be like, another thing. She's taking another thing away from us.
Like just one
But
step at a time. It's
one
okay.
step at a time, but we may do the meatless Mondays for sure. We don't
Yeah.
eat a lot of meat. We do eat a lot of fish because my husband is pescatarian. So that's
Mhm.
kind of, once one person starts it in the family, it trickles down to the
It
rest of the
does.
family. It spreads like, and which is really very, very positive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just want to, because you mentioned that, because I get a lot of people that say, oh, well, nobody else in my family is doing it. I said, oh, well, that's great. So that means you're going to be the one that actually models this for them. And I think that's what keeps me going. Because
Yeah.
I was, like I said, I was the one that was like, I'm not eating that. And everybody's like what? And now 3 decades later, they're
Later.
saying, oh, we've been, watching you all this time. And so we want to
Yeah.
do that. And so I was like, sometimes it may just take some time, but just keep doing what you're doing. And people are watching and they are being inspired by your
Oh,
changes.
absolutely. 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 So that's awesome. So we know where to find you. And I want to thank everybody for joining us on this live tonight. We were talking to Dr. Amanda Atkins, and she is a lifestyle coach. Her focus really is on plant-based nutrition and lifestyle, and helping patients get on that journey, stay on that journey, and help them start de-prescribing medications they may no longer need, but safely. She is a physician. So this is done by a trained medical doctor, which is awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Amanda, for coming on our show tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed talking to you today.
Thank you. Everyone watching, you're on Natural Gut Relief. My name is Dr. Vivian Asamoah. I'm an integrative gastroenterologist, so I'm board certified in gastroenterology and also in holistic, integrative, and functional medicine. And we combine the best of both worlds to provide optimal gut health to all our patients. It was a pleasure, and see you guys next Thursday at another session of Back to Basics. Bye.